The Center for Spiritual Enlightenment, or CSE for short, is an expansive and beautiful grounds that takes up the entire city block located at 1146 University Avenue in San Jose, California. Since its founding in October of 1981 by Yogacharya Ellen Grace O'Brien, 5 structures have been built on the grounds: the Grace Building, the Compassion Building, the Wisdom Building, the Temple of the Eternal Way, and the Tree of Life Welcome Center and Bookshop. Our time at CSE involved meditating in the Grace Building, participating in a second meditation which focused on stress reduction and restful sleep in the Wisdom Building, and a brief tour of all the buildings, including the temple. Out front, the sign reads their mission statement: "Awaken to the one truth known by many names." This refers to CSE's focus on helping individuals within their community realize their place in the world with all the different things that pull them in different directions. But what is this one truth? To help community members answer this question on their own, instead of teaching dogmatic rules, CSE follows the tradition and practices of Kriya Yoga, a tradition of meditation and yoga that comes from India, passed down from guru to disciple through verbal instruction over many centuries. CSE's practice of Kriya Yoga is connected through its founder, Yogacharya O'Brien, to this long lineage. Kriya Yoga, as practiced at CSE, was brought to the West by the great saint Paramahansa Yogananda in the 1920s. Interestingly enough, Paramahansa is a Sanskrit title that means supreme swan and is only bestowed on the most profound spiritual teachers. The symbolism of this swan meaning appears as 2 swans coming together in CSE's spiritual icon. Kriya comes from the Sanskrit verb kri, which means to do or action. Yoga, on the other hand, means union, referring to the practices and procedures that bring the body, mind, and soul into harmony. Thus, the combination of the 2 words in Kriya Yoga emphasizes the dual practice of unifying one's body, soul, and mind, while also living and doing an everyday life. The 4 essential practices of Kriya Yoga include superconscious meditation, insightful study of scripture and of reality, self-discipline for conscious living, and the surrender of the illusion of the sense of being separate from the source of life.
The vast majority of practices done at the Center for Spiritual Enlightenment are centered around meditation. Everything from the buildings to the grounds are tailored to producing environments conducive to meditation. There are several chapels, temples, and halls used to host services, a radiant path with pillars and shrines, a meditation labyrinth, and quiet spaces in the gardens. The Center for Spiritual Enlightenment boasts a full staff of yogis trained in the ways of Kriya Yoga that guide people through meditation sessions and services. Overall, we felt that through meditation at the Center for Spiritual Enlightenment, our knowledge of the body was enhanced in the way that the body can become a vehicle to achieve one's tasks and goals rather than an obstacle.
The central value of CSE is the belief that any person, regardless of religious background, is capable of becoming spiritually enlightened to the one truth known by many names. They demonstrate their non-specificity of religion by displaying the religious symbols for Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Native American spirituality, Taoism, and Islam in their meditation temple. Their goal is for all people, current members and not, to see the positive impact that living a spiritually fulfilled life can have. They strive to create these benefits at the individual and community level. For individuals, those who adhere to the values of CSE report positive results such as stronger relationships, less stress, and a clearer view of the bigger picture in life. This trickles to the community level as those enlightened individuals recognize the importance of working to make their communities more peaceful for everybody.
The Radiant Path is a walking meditation practice specific to CSE that emphasizes the essential practices of Kriya Yoga. 10 pillar shrines placed randomly throughout the grounds at CSE create a path that one can walk to ponder the core values of Kriya Yoga practiced at CSE. Each pillar shrine has a different concept or practice that one can think about and apply to their own life how they wish. The first 5 pillars, known as yama or restraints, pertain to how one proceeds in social interactions. The second 5, known as niyama or observances, focus on practicing in relation to oneself. The last 3 of these pillars, self-discipline, self-inquiry, and surrender, refer to the 3 essential practices of Kriya Yoga. The practice of walking the radiant path encapsulates the concept of spirituality according to CSE. A set of values are set forth and pondered through meditative practices, but the actual application of these values into one's life is up to the individual and is not a requirement for being a member of the community. Sanjay told me that often on retreats the participants will walk the radiant path and then take time to journal, recording for themselves a particular way in which they connected with one of the 10 pillars and how they would apply the concept to their own lives.
Our interview subject is Sanjay, a current resident at CSE. He spoke to us about the personal benefits that he has enjoyed as a result of being part of CSE, including more maturity, a better understanding of the bigger picture in life, and most importantly, an increase in his ability to find joy in the simple things in life, such as being alone. He stressed to us that his spiritual life is not separate from his regular life, but rather that since joining CSE, they have become forever intertwined.
So we open our mind and our being to acknowledge the one infinite life and reality, the source and substance that pervades all that is. And we acknowledge that now in this space, within ourselves, within each other, and all around us. Why do I value spirituality in my life? It gives me a vision and a framework to work from. And so this life could be really confusing, and it could be, there's so much going on in the world. And so spirituality gives me and especially this practice, these practices in this tradition, it gives me a sense of higher purpose direction. So I get to work from the principle of oneness and knowing that one reality is equally present in me as everything else. And so from there, my entire life is informed from it. So it gives me more clarity in what I have to do so I don't feel so aimless. And the reason I think other people might not be so inclined towards it or might not value it in the same way is because there's so many distractions present in the world. And there's so many things pulling them the other direction, like media, everything is just telling people to look outside themselves, and this is going to bring you happiness, and that's going to bring you security, and this and that, and so there's all these messages just bringing us out when it's a little bit harder to come in and to maybe feel the human experience completely within ourselves, and to acknowledge the difficulties of life, and to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and that things happen in the world. So the primary reason, there's just a lot of distractions, and especially at a young age, like from a young age in this culture, there's a lot of distractions, and there's a lot of reasons why people would miss this. But I value it because it informs where I look and what I look for. And instead of having all this to look at and get distracted with, I have a pole star that can guide me where I need to go and to who I need to see and everything.
Participating in these specific meditative practices gave us a glimpse into the clear-mindedness and tranquility that can result from the Center of Spiritual Enlightenment's meditations. For anyone who takes in these teachings, the Center for Spiritual Enlightenment offers a path to clearing your mind, relaxing your body, and opening your soul to a deeper spiritual enlightenment.